Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today for Tuesday, June 3rd. It's Alissa Coram here. And we saw some very compelling action for the major indexes, topping some key levels in the stock market today. And joining me to break down the action is my colleague, Ed Carson. And Ed, what do you have for us today?
I want to take a look at Stride, Talen Energy, and Quanta Services.
Yeah, wasn't all winners. There's some wild action out there. We'll take a look at those stocks, but first, let's analyze the major indexes with a powerful day in terms of the levels that we cleared here. Ed, the Nasdaq up about 0.8%. The S&P 500 up 0.6%. A really compelling look to those charts there. You'll tell us more in a second. The Dow up 0.5% today, getting back above that 200-day line. So notable there. And small caps led the day with the Russell 2000 up an impressive 1.5%. It's been lagging, but maybe catching up a little bit today. Let's start with the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. So it's not like we had these huge percentage gains, some sizable gains, of course, but it's where we're at that is significant, Ed.
Yeah, it was nice that we started sort of poor or just okay and then closed well. But yeah, it's really the levels. Both the Nasdaq and the S&P went above their recent ranges. I mean, the Nasdaq tried to do it last week and then sort of came down, but so today it just closed above that intraday high. It's sort of clearly getting above that range. The S&P a little less, but basically all that's left for both of them is if they, is assuming they don't fall back into this range is the all-time highs. So at this point, or with just a smidge more strength, either way, you can really start feeling okay. There's might be another leg for this rally. Not that we really stopped, but really just for a couple weeks paused. There's a
Mhm.
lot of stocks that formed handles, so this could be a really another positive opportunity for investors to add exposure or maybe swap around their portfolio and get the stocks that they want.
Yeah, as of now, it looks like it's the pause that refreshes, right, Ed?
Yeah.
And the S&P looks like next stop is that 6,000 level. And then in percentage terms, if we look at the SPY ETF, where we are off highs, we're now about 2.8% off highs. So, like you said, it really wouldn't take much to get to new high territory. And then for the NASDAQ, levels to watch here. We had those prior highs just above 20,000. So with the Nasdaq above 19,000 by a good bit, right around 19,400. It does seem like that round number at 20,000 could be next if we can see this power trend momentum continue. And also want to point out that today's action has the look, especially for the S&P 500, of what our senior market strategist Mike Webster would call a setup day, Ed.
It certainly does. It's like sort of right there, and you can imagine a lot of breakouts. And there were some breakouts. I mean, look, this is basically a cup with handle. I mean, this is a cup with handle. The Nasdaq's a little messier, but there's a lot of stocks that cleared cup with handles or right there, and so that's why we talked about being the pause that refreshes. There could be a lot of opportunities. It does feel like it, and it didn't blow so hard that it was like so up there that you missed it. It's not like it went up 2.5%. It's like, oh, I missed my chance. Like you maybe
Right.
there's some things today, but you could study tonight, work on those things tonight, and then there might be things tomorrow, assuming that things carry on from here.
Yeah. And then I did briefly mention for the Dow getting back above the 200-day line. So we'll take it. And then small caps also participating in a notable way here today. Let's take a quick look at the 10-year yield. Ed, do you see this settling down at all? Or what can we glean from the bond market at this juncture?
I mean, yeah, maybe it is. I mean, finding support on the 21-day line, not making a whole lot of move, didn't really move at all today. Ultimately, we do have the jobs report on Friday, so we'll see. And there's always the potential for some big swings, but right now this is calm, and that's probably what the market needs. Stock market needs is at least just not racing higher the treasury yields.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at our average stock. One way to look at breadth is RSP. This is the equal weighted S&P 500 ETF, up 0.8% today, Ed. So that's encouraging to see RSP outperforming the S&P 500. So again, up 0.8% here versus the S&P's gain of 0.6%. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see that. I mean, there was some of the big names and you can see the relative strength line. It hasn't outperformed the S&P over time, but today it did, and it had been trading right around the 200-day line on the close for 4 days, and today it's clearly above that, and so it all goes together. I mean, even the small caps, not that that would do that, but they all sort of show this kind of thing. There was this pause, and they're getting toward it, or either clearing it, or sort of getting above a big chunk of it. So a lot of positive chart action.
Yes, no doubt. Okay, let's talk about some sectors, Ed. SMH representing the chips up 2.3% today. Nvidia, of course, a part of the move, up 2.8% on the day. So, what was driving this action in chips, Ed?
Yeah, there was Nvidia. I think Broadcom had a strong day. Broadcom will have earnings later this week. They came out with a new switch. So those are two of your giants. And so it's those AI names. And there's a lot again, some of these ETFs, they're showing that same kind of handle situation. SMH sort of right there. There's, you could have used that kind of thing. It's coming right up to those levels. I think IGV is looking like that, just in a different way. So just a number of these things just showing strength that are coming up. You could have
Mhm,
bought it there or was wait for there. Again, this it's all mimicking the same stuff, and you're seeing this on the indexes. You see it on the individual stocks. And
mhm,
XLI, I think, is maybe even a little closer to the buy point if you want to say like the old highs. But so it's not just tech. There's a lot. There's actually a lot of strength in a lot of areas, and this pause has been very helpful because we ran up. I mean, when you think about how strong we ran up on all these things from early April to mid-May, with still a lot of uncertainty with things, and just to have this pause, I think it's really constructive. We didn't know about that a week and a
mhm.
half ago. It didn't necessarily look constructive, but that's part of the thing what you need. You need that sometimes you need to feel a little deconstructive for it to actually work out.
Mhm. I totally agree. We did need that pause after that fast and furious run up since that April 22nd follow through day. And it feels like the ideal scenario, Ed, because it really wasn't that violent of a pullback. Maybe there was 1 or 2 days or some intraday moments where it did feel like a little bit of pressure there. But overall, when you have this strong uptrend and a pause, it allows traders like us to get positioned or add to existing positions in a more ideal way versus buying stretched. So it does feel like, again, at the moment, all systems are go for this power trend. But it's not all sunshine and daisies out there, Ed. LRN Stride lost its footing today, down 10% in this education group.
Yeah, there was a report out that a New Mexico school district basically dropped Stride, said like no longer going to use them, talked about just some complaining about the service. I don't know if that was the big factor, but this was leading the way down among a lot of education stocks were down today. And there were a lot of reversals today, or reversals or stocks that sold off after bullish moves Monday. I mean, that's always
Mm,
going to happen. It did seem surprising how many of them there were, given the generally positive tone we had, but that can happen. So this is something, if you bought it on Monday's move, uh, you probably needed to sell. You probably wanted to sell some fairly early on, and then the fact have it come down so much, chances are you were probably down 7 or 8%. And so you probably wanted to get out by the close. Again, there's always the 50-day line, there's the old buy point, but that was a pretty negative selling. I mean, it can always set up again.
mhm.
But it was, yeah, really, but you need to take some action. The earnings were strong. Revenue growth has been accelerating. Everything was looking good,
Right.
and now it isn't. But you have to sell on technicals usually before the
Mhm.
fundamentals show any kind of concern.
Exactly. So, just to add additional context here, especially for our podcast listeners out there, Ed, this education group ranked number 3 out of the 197 groups that we track. Stride in the group has been an impressive uptrend, in addition to those strong fundamentals that you pointed out. So, I think it speaks to the reason why we don't just kick back and relax in a power trend, why we really do focus on actively investing, because the stock can look great and check off all the boxes when you buy it, but you really need to manage the position, because there can be these out of the blue headlines that can impact your stock. So this one taking a hit today, definitely not ideal. We'll have to see how the week progresses, if it can recover at all, but definitely looks like a sell signal today. All right, moving on. Let's go to TLN. This is Talon Energy. Ed, we've been seeing a lot of these utility stocks coming back to life in recent weeks. And TLN here on the verge of getting to new high territories, cleared that 250 level. So arguably actionable today.
Yeah, there was sort of a handle in there just below 250. So I think it was actionable. I mean, at this point, you could decide I'm going to wait for it to break out since it was hitting resistance there, but it's definitely actionable. The relative strength line is at new highs. The fundamentals don't look great. I'm not sure what's all going on there, but after, and it's not supposed to look good this year, but after this quarter, like it was a big loss in Q1 and a small loss supposed to be in Q2, but then turn around again. So it's supposed to come back uh, around. And so, unlike a lot of other nuclear stocks, this was actually in range. And there's a lot of nuclear stocks that jumped this morning, and a
Yeah.
lot of them gave up their gains, even reversed lower. I'm not sure why Talon stood out, honestly, but there is that. So this one was the one that looked the best. It seems like to me, like the most actionable. But yeah, strong performance handle one way, 3 weeks tight, same kind of thing. So either way, was in there. So fundamentals, there are some issues, but you can also look ahead and say, "Ah, I see how that's gonna
Yeah.
play out. It looks like it's gonna rebound in the coming quarters."
Totally. So was this group, do you think the catalyst today, even if, we saw a number of stocks that didn't finish too great, was the catalyst that Meta Constellation news?
Yeah, that definitely was the catalyst, and it was interesting because I think Constellation, which skyrocketed, especially in the pre-market, it actually got up to record highs in the pre-market, almost broke out, and then closed lower. So it was strange in that regard. And some other things, Vistra, VST, I think that one did well, but that one isn't necessarily in position. That one did better than Talon, was up 5%, but it's moving. It was sort of maybe extended for some early entries, and it's moving towards the top of the base, but it doesn't necessarily have a break point. I mean, you can always find a spot, and I see you're drawing some lines, and I can see how that then work. But it's not as clear cut as Talon in terms of an entry, but Vistra is acting well. But it was definitely a strange mix of
Mhm.
market reactions. I mean, by the close from that, a lot of nuclear plays.
Yeah, and with Constellation Energy, isn't this also the one that has the relationship with Microsoft as well?
Yeah, that was what
So it
something that
is.
really took off last September, and it's on there chart where there was a gap up, and it sort of triggered a lot of things, and then it came up, and then it paused and went up again. So yeah, Microsoft are going to open up the 3 Mile Island. So this seems like good news. I'm sure it is good news. I just don't know. So I don't know why the market sold off on it. I don't know what was already priced in, but a sort
Yeah.
of an outside day in that reversal,
Mm.
sort of surprising constellation.
Yeah, and of course, we couldn't have predicted the, reversal here, but I do think it is a good lesson that just because you see some positive headlines, some really big deals with big name companies, that doesn't mean that the stock is always gonna be the best stock in the group, the leader in the group. Like you said, there are other names that have, more compelling chart action and others in this broader theme that are already at new highs, right? Like GEV. It's a little different, but still, in this AI energy power theme, right? So just something to think about.
Yeah, and the next stock technically, and it probably is related to this as well.
Yeah, great segue, Ed. Let's go to Quanta Services, PWR, breaking out today with a blue dot, clearing that 350 level. Tell us more.
Yeah, breaking out. I mean, maybe again, power demand is like this helps can build things in that space and just the need for power. So you're seeing a lot of these heavy construction names do well. The group is up to 37. It seems to be trending higher. There's a number of stocks that have been breaking out or near it. The relative strength line, a blue dot today. So that's also positive on that front, showing that it's been outperforming the S&P 500. So yeah, this was our stock of the day. Showed strong action, pretty clear. They had a smaller handle maybe a couple weeks ago, and this one seemed a little bit more, especially on a daily. Just felt a little bit more. There was a shakeout as it tried to break out, and it didn't work, but it's set up again. So sometimes they
Mhm.
can come back, and it did. The volume wasn't tremendous today, but uh, on the price action really strong, and the buy point was actually now, you drag it to the left around that 350 level. That was a prior base breakout before everything fell apart because of DeepSeek. That whole AI power trend movement, that shows you how, yeah, Quanta services, heavy construction, yes, it's very much an AI play.
Mhm.
So this one really showing some strength here, and another way to do it. Also, why you don't want to buy heavy construction and AI chip and a utility and say, aha, I'm diversified.
Right.
I mean, they may all go up together, but they can all go down together too.
Yes, we definitely saw that in January on that DeepSeek news. So, Ed, I know you've been pointing out the strength in this group, other tickers of interest, potentially AGX, STRL, Road. Are these all AI adjacent names in this building construction group?
I'm getting confused. I'm pretty sure road is not so much because I think that
Okay.
is more highway construction, and there is a lot of things. I mean, there is public, highway construction, so it's not just AI infrastructure.
Yeah.
There is a lot of has been a lot of spending going on generally. So Uh,
Mhm.
but this whole area is doing very well in a lot of space. And some of them are not in AI. They could be like for natural gas pipelines, but it's still
Mhm.
all related to that power kind of situation.
Right. Okay. Well, we do have CrowdStrike earnings out after the close. So let's check in on the stock. It looks like shares are down some 6%, Ed, for a stock that broke out in April and it run up about 22% or so over that time. But as of now, the early reaction here, shares down 6%.
Yeah, the read I saw a quick glance said that revenue missed by a little bit, and this has run up a lot, so the expectations might be higher there. So that's the only thing. Revenue is up 19%, so a little bit of slowdown. People expect that after that whole disaster from a year ago. Another name though is doing better though is Guidewire, GWRE. That one already broke out from a double bottom base, but now they had this handle, and it was teasing that this today, and now it looked like it beat views. So it is looks pretty clear that it's going to be breaking out from that, at least right now and after the close. So that's another name that's doing well.
Yeah, a gain of about 5.6% or so at this time. And of course, a reminder, as you very well know, Ed, right, a frequent writer of our futures column, that overnight action doesn't necessarily always translate to the regular session, but two stocks that we definitely will keep an eye on come tomorrow morning on Wednesday's IBD Live show. So thank you so much, Ed, as always, for your perspective.
Thank you, Allie.
And thanks everyone for tuning in. That is it from us for today. But like I said, we'll be back tomorrow morning on IBD Live, investors.com/IBD Live for all the details on our daily morning live stream starting 10 minutes before the opening bell. We will see you there. And then we'll also see you right back here tomorrow after the close.